How to get your two dogs to stop fighting. Dogs are social creatures, and they can fight for a variety of reasons, just like any other animal. Witnessing your two dogs fighting can be frightening and frustrating. Understanding why dogs fight, what you can do to de-escalate the situation, and how to separate fighting dogs is important for any dog owner. Part 1: Stopping a fight. 1. Don't scream. If your dogs get into a fight, your initial reaction may be to yank on their leashes, scream their names, and yell no. Unfortunately, your dogs are worked up, won't be listening for that command, and your screaming will only stress and excite your dogs further. During a fight, your dogs are vulnerable and will only hear you yelling, not what you are yelling. Use a firm, loud command, such as away. Grunt at your dogs. The sound is unfamiliar to them and also primal. It may catch their attention. 2. Make a loud noise. Sometimes a loud noise is enough to distract the dogs out of fighting. When you're out with your dogs, carry a whistle or other loud, easily accessible noisemaker. If your dogs engages in aggressive posturing with another dog, or begin fighting, use your noise-making device to startle the dogs away from one another. If your dogs are prone to aggression, consider carrying an air horn. 3. Spray the dogs. If you're away from your house, carry a spray bottle with you. Some people fill the bottle with water, some with a vinegar and water solution, and some people fill the bottle with water and a few drops of citronella oil. Vinegar and citronella are unpleasant smells to a dog's sensitive nose. Just as with sound, spraying the dogs should provide enough of a distraction to get the dogs to back away from one another. If you're home, spray the dogs with a garden hose. 4. Use a leash. When dogs fight, they are hard to separate. Don't put any part of your body near their mouths, as they will likely not distinguish your hand or leg from the other dog. Instead, if you are comfortable, get a leash and form a loop between the hook and handle. Toss the loop around the hindquarters of one of the dogs, creating a sort of sling, and slowly drag the dog at least 20 feet away. The other dog should stop fighting when it sees its opponent move away. The dog you're dragging may twist and continue to snarl. Keep your body a safe distance away from the dog. Let them fight. You might not be able to safely break up a fight between two dogs. Your only option may be to let them fight, as much as you don't want to do so. There are times, though, that the aggression is too high or you're not in a position to help as much as you want to, and the dogs will have to sort it out themselves. This is a last resort, as there are ways to intervene without putting yourself in physical harm. Part 2: Recognizing signs of aggression. 1. Watch the eyes. One of the first signs that one of your dogs is uncomfortable is a targeted, unwavering stare at your other dog. This means that they are intently watching every non-verbal cue that the other dog is giving. In response, they will either lose interest and look away or become increasingly uncomfortable and possibly more aggressive. You may have heard that if a dog breaks eye contact that they are submitting to you or another dog. Don't rely on this advice. Until your dog fully appears to have lost interest, assume that they are still paying close attention to the other dog. If the other dog returns a sustained stare, you should assume that tensions are mounting quickly and separate the dogs. 2. Pay attention to posture. Dogs, like other animals, do quite a bit of posturing when they are feeling threatened or challenged. If you notice either dog standing firmly in place, especially if they pull their neck back such that their head is over their shoulders, the dogs are posturing and should be separated. Some dogs may drop their head low and bare their teeth. This is another form of posturing and indicates that a dog is ready to fight. You may see one dog mount another. This is not sexual, rather, it's a behavior to establish dominance. 3. Look at the body language. If you see either dog's movements become stiff or extreme, such as pulling their lips back or holding their head high or low, or even erratic movements, the dog is communicating a warning. Safely remove your dog to de-escalate the situation. 4. Listen to the growls. Dogs communicate with one another through a combination of non-verbal and verbal communication, such as growling and barking. Listen to how your dogs interacts with people, other dogs, strangers, odd noises, and you will have a pretty good idea what they are talking about. This is helpful in identifying their aggressive growl. Older dogs will growl at younger dogs to help the younger dog recognize their position in the social hierarchy. If you hear your dog growl, pay attention to its other physical signals, which should help you identify if your dog is prepared to fight or is simply vocalizing. Part 3: Recognizing why your dogs fight. 1. Don't make assumptions. Your dogs may be even-tempered or even typically quite relaxed. Do not assume that your dogs are not capable of fighting because of their mild demeanor, though. If your dogs have a bad interaction with one another, there is the potential for them to fight to sort out the problem. 2. Recognize your dog's stressors. Dogs usually fight because they are stressed. The dog isn't normally aggressive, but when stressed, its demeanor changes, just like with humans. Dogs are sensitive to their surroundings and might get stressed over simple, seemingly innocent things. Being aware of your dog's stressors will help you minimize the potential for a fight. Some stressors to look out for: a treat or food bit that your dog is interested in, bad weather or ongoing inclement weather, loud noises, humans being emotional or arguing, dog's normal routine is off, not getting exercised enough. 3. Be aware of your dog's triggers. All animals have triggers, or things that immediately make them uncomfortable and defensive. Knowing your dog's triggers is helpful because you can avoid them, when possible, and also help your dog, with training, become desensitized to some unavoidable triggers. Some triggers include: one dog refusing to defer to the other. This is problematic because dogs operate in a social hierarchy at all times. Pain: dogs are great at hiding their pain and may react aggressively when approached by another dog. Protection: if your dog thinks that you're in danger, it may act aggressively to protect you, fighting dogs, or humans, that it sees as a threat. 4. Remember that some posturing is normal. Dogs work out who falls where on the social ladder pretty quickly. Sometimes, they might tussle a little to help them sort it all out. This isn't encouraged, but it is normal. Posturing is different than acting aggressively. Posturing might include bouncing on the front feet a few times, a small, slight growl, or an attempt to herd the other animal to a different location. Posturing doesn't include bared teeth, snarling, biting, or other overtly aggressive actions. Part 4: Modifying your dog's behavior. 1. Properly train your dogs. Training your dogs is important because it establishes clear behavior expectations between you and your pets. It also allows you and your dogs to communicate more effectively with one another. Training your dogs puts you higher on the social hierarchy than them, meaning it should defer to you when it is stressed or encounters a trigger. Ideally, your dogs will respond to your verbal or visual commands and immediately cease any aggressive behavior or fighting. 2. Socialize your dogs. Dogs who are well socialized with other dogs and humans will not be as prone to fighting because they will not view people and dogs as stressors. It's important to start socializing your dogs as soon as they're vaccinated, and continue that socialization throughout their lives. Many cities have dog parks, which are parks with enclosures specifically for dogs to run and play off leash. Some pet stores allow dog owners to bring their leashed or harnessed dogs in while they shop. Consider taking your dogs for walks around your neighborhood. 3. Feed them separately. Food is a big stressor for dogs. Don't force your two dogs to eat side by side or even in the same room or at the same time. Instead, allow your dogs sufficient space to eat their meals so that they aren't feeling stressed or threatened. If your dogs fight at mealtime, you might consider separating them with a baby gate or even feeding them in separate rooms. 4. Don't give out special treats. Treats can be a great training reward and are nice to give to your dogs in moderation. If your dogs are prone to fighting, avoid giving them special treats like pig ears, rawhides, meat chunks, bully sticks, or real animal bones and knuckles. These might be considered too special or prized and lead to immediate aggression or fighting. If you do want to give extra special treats like these, separate your dogs or give them the treats in their crates. Warnings. The worst thing that you can do is to put your hands in between the fighting dogs, hoping to break them up, as this will likely lead to you being bitten. Every dog is unique and their behavior isn't guaranteed. These are suggestions to get your dogs to stop fighting, but ultimately, you must use caution and your best judgment.